They weren't always in the spotlight, but they lit the fire behind some of the most iconic grooves in R&B. Back in the day, their fingers danced across fretboards while the world danced to the rhythm. From shadowy studio sessions to soul-soaked stages, these 15 guitarists helped shape the heartbeat of rhythm and blues. Cornell Dupree gave slick emotion to countless slow burns. Eddie Hazel channeled chaos into sweet funk. And one legend on this list inspired a generation of soul ballads but rarely got a name check. These are the overlooked masters, the ones whose strings told stories. Stick with us, because the legacy they left behind is deeper than the spotlight they never got. Number 15. Marv Tarplin, the quiet guitar voice behind Motown Romance.
People say I'm the life of the party.
In the golden age of Motown during the 1960s and early 1970s, one guitarist quietly shaped the emotional tone of countless love songs. Marv Tarplin was Smokey Robinson's longtime musical partner and a key member of the Miracles, and his guitar lines helped define the tender side of classic R&B. Tarplin had a gift for melody. Instead of flashy solos, he crafted gentle riffs that felt like conversations with the singer. His delicate playing opened songs like Tracks of My Tears and Ooh Baby Baby, creating a mood before a single lyric was sung. Those opening guitar phrases became emotional doorways into the music. Inside Detroit's Hitsville, USA studios, Tarplin was known for his patience and taste. Producers trusted him to add just the right touch. Often, it was only a few notes, but those notes carried enormous feeling.
Need you, yeah.
Picture a late-night radio in 1965, the lights low, and that soft guitar introduction drifting through the speaker. That was Marv Tarplin setting the stage for heartbreak and hope. Even today, musicians study his phrasing as a masterclass in restraint and soul. Number 14, Skip Pitts, the wah-wah king of Memphis soul.
Really hard playing the eight.
In 1971, Isaac Hayes dropped the soundtrack for Shaft, and with it came one of the most iconic guitar intros in R&B history. That rhythmic, biting wah-wah pattern, that was Skip Pitts. A session legend from Memphis, Pitts wasn't just a guitarist, he was a mood maker. Working out of Stax Records, he brought a swagger that merged funk and soul with cinematic flair. His tone was bold but warm, and he could slide between lead and rhythm without dropping an ounce of feel. He had a sixth sense for when a lick should speak and when it should just breathe. What most folks don't know is that Pitts mentored a generation of Southern session players, even while touring with the likes of Al Green and Rufus Thomas. You could spot his touch from a mile away, clean, funky, and filled with storytelling.
Just playing it on.
That Shaft lick wasn't just catchy. It changed how guitar sounded in black cinema, and his DNA lives on in every wah-heavy groove that's come since. Number 13, Paul Jackson Jr., the quiet architect of love songs. In the 1980s, when R&B ballads were dressed in silk and scented with slow jams, Paul Jackson Jr. was behind the curtain, building the foundations. You've heard him whether you know it or not. On Whitney Houston's Saving All My Love for You, on Michael Jackson's Thriller, and on virtually every smooth R&B hit from that decade. Jackson was a session powerhouse. What made his playing special wasn't flash, but finesse. He could lace a chord with just enough tension to make it cry, then resolve it with buttery ease. His tone was so clean, it was practically satin. You felt every touch, and he was everywhere. Quincy Jones tapped him, Babyface knew his value. He defined the guitar tone of quiet storm radio without ever stepping into the spotlight himself. Think Candlelight, Rain Against the Window, a cassette playing slow in the background. Paul Jackson Jr. was that soundtrack. Number 12, Michael Hampton, the kid who set funk on fire. He was only 17 when George Clinton handed him the guitar and said, "Take it." What followed was a solo on Maggot Brain that sent chills down spines and raised eyebrows across genres. Michael Hampton, nicknamed Kid Funkadelic, became Parliament Funkadelic's secret weapon through the late 70s and 80s. He brought rock sensibility to R&B's funk frontier. Distorted bends, feedback growls, and solos that screamed with passion. His playing was an emotional cyclone, wild, unpredictable, and full of soul. Most R&B guitarists played for the pocket. Hampton played from the gut. On stage, he was a force of nature, channeling Hendrix with a futuristic twist. Off stage, he was soft-spoken and rarely mentioned in the same breath as the flashier guitar gods. But make no mistake, he carved new territory. The line between funk, soul, and rock blurred every time he plugged in. Number 11, Robert White, the hand behind the Temptations' magic.
One of the more recognizable guitar licks of the...
Every time you hear the opening riff to My Girl by the Temptations, that's Robert White speaking to your soul through 6 steel strings. As a member of Motown's legendary house band, the Funk Brothers, White's style helped define the Detroit sound of the 1960s. He wasn't just playing chords, he was painting moods. His arpeggios had elegance. His phrasing was deliberate, never cluttered. It was about placement, patience, and letting the melody breathe. White worked on countless hits, from Marvin Gaye to the Supremes. Yet, most listeners couldn't name the man behind the groove. In the studio, he was a quiet technician with a poet's touch.
And then, I just ordered my thing, and the guy walked away, and I said, "Robert, you were going to tell him..."
Off stage, he stayed humble while his guitar made millions dance, cry, and fall in love. You might not recognize his face, but you felt his fingerprints on nearly every classic Motown single. And that unforgettable riff, it was done in one take. Number 10, Melvin Sparks, the soul jazz connector born in Houston. And raised on gospel and blues, Melvin Sparks made his mark in the soul jazz boom of the late 60s and 70s. He brought jazz chops to R&B sensibilities and helped build the bridge between funk and improvisational groove. Sparks wasn't a flashy soloist. He played in circles, tight riffs, bluesy licks, and warm humming chords that wrapped around a groove like smoke. Whether backing Lou Donaldson or doing his own cuts on Prestige Records, he infused every track with church-born feeling and streetwise cool. He played the kind of guitar that made you nod without realizing it. Deep pocket rhythm work with just enough melodic sparkle to keep the track simmering. In an era of genre fusion, Sparks was the glue. Soul fans loved his warmth. Jazz heads respected his roots. Hip-hop producers later sampled his tone, keeping that sparkle alive in boom-bap beats. Number 9, David T. Walker, the underrated king of soul feel. David T. Walker never needed a spotlight. He let his guitar whisper, cry, and confess. His work in the 1970s as a session player made him the quiet glue behind the emotion of countless soul ballads. From Aretha Franklin to Barry White to the Jackson 5, Walker's guitar gave tracks a heartbeat. What set him apart was the way he blended blues with jazz phrasings. Each note he played seemed to lean forward, reaching for the next. Always full of intention and heart. His phrasing was delicate, yet the weight of his tone carried meaning. He famously played on Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On and Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine, songs that ache with intimacy. His guitar didn't shout, it spoke softly, but you always listened. Today, modern R&B and neo-soul artists cite him as a reference point, even if the mainstream rarely says his name. That's the power of understated brilliance. Number 8. Jeff Lee Johnson. The shapeshifter of sound, Jeff Lee Johnson was impossible to pin down. Whether backing Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, or simply wailing through his own recordings, Johnson blended R&B, jazz, rock, and psychedelia into a singular sound that bent genre boundaries like strings.
So you sold me out. You sold my life.
Coming out of Philly, he emerged in the 1990s as the quiet genius behind some of the era's most experimental soul sessions. His tones were often drenched in reverb, pushed through distortion, and layered with emotion. One moment he'd play a tender jazz line, the next he'd rip through a solo with Hendrix-level ferocity. He was the guitarist you called when you wanted the unexpected, and he always delivered. Sadly, Johnson passed away in 2013, leaving behind a trail of recordings and a legacy of fearless creativity. His influence still pulses in the genre-bending stylings of artists like Thundercat and HER No. 7, Little Beaver, the Miami Groove Machine. If you've ever swayed to the silky sounds of Betty Wright's Clean Up Woman, you've already heard Little Beaver's guitar, sharp, rhythmic, and dripping with Southern soul. His real name was Willie Hale, but his nickname stuck, and so did his unmistakable style. Working out of Miami's TK Records in the early 70s, Little Beaver brought a unique blend of funk, blues, and pop to the table. His riffs were tight and punchy, almost conversational, always playing off the vocal like a trusted duet partner. He wasn't just in the pocket, he was the pocket. Beaver also released solo albums, full of understated charm and emotional depth. Tracks like Party Down are cult classics, beloved by vinyl diggers and hip-hop producers alike for their deep grooves and clean arrangements. You can almost feel the humid Miami nights in his playing. His guitar told stories, made you dance, then made you sit down and think. Number 6. Philip Church, the session magician who played it all. Philip Church might be the most versatile guitarist on this entire list. Coming up in the late 1950s and 60s, he made a name in jazz circles, but quickly became a go-to player for R&B royalty like Donny Hathaway, Curtis Mayfield, and even Michael Jackson. What made Upchurch so special was his ability to disappear into a song and quietly elevate it. He could anchor a gospel-inspired groove, float on a jazz ballad, or syncopate with funk precision. And every note he played was soaked in soul. He worked on Hathaway's The Ghetto, delivering haunting textures that framed the social tension of the lyrics. He supported Quincy Jones on numerous film scores. Always essential, never intrusive. Even after decades in the game, Phil remains a musician's musician, a quiet storm of skill and taste. If these forgotten legends are bringing back the soul, give this video a like. It helps keep their legacy alive for new ears. And stick around. We've got 5 more guitarists whose impact on R&B is deeper than most ever knew. Number 5, Jimmy Nolen, the rhythm genius, behind James Brown. When James Brown demanded tighter grooves and sharper rhythms, Jimmy Nolen delivered. Known as the father of chicken scratch guitar, Nolen revolutionized funk guitar playing with his percussive staccato style. He turned the guitar into a rhythmic instrument rather than a melodic one. He joined Brown's band in the mid-60s and helped define the DNA of funk on classics like Papa's Got a Brand New Bag and I Got You, I Feel Good. Nolen's guitar was crisp, muted, and relentless. He didn't need solos. He created patterns that locked in so hard they became hypnotic. While Brown shouted and the horns blasted, Nolen's tight wrist drove the engine. No one had ever played guitar quite like that, and soon everyone wanted to. His technique became a template for future funk, soul, and even hip-hop. From Prince to Nile Rodgers, his influence is everywhere. But his name is still barely whispered outside musician circles. Number 4, Eddie Hazel. The soul of cosmic funk, Eddie Hazel was George Clinton's secret weapon. A founding member of Funkadelic, he took the expressive power of rock guitar and fused it with the emotional gravity of soul. The result was a new kind of R&B that felt interstellar, raw, and deeply personal. On the 1971 track Maggot Brain, Hazel's 10-minute solo was recorded in a single emotional take, reportedly after Clinton told him to play as if he had just lost his mother. The result was devastating and transcendent. A journey through pain, beauty, and release. Hazel didn't just play notes. He poured feeling through the strings. His fuzz-drenched tones, expressive bends, and melodic storytelling pushed funk into uncharted territory. He took the language of R&B and painted it in psychedelic colors. Though his career was cut short by personal battles and addiction, his influence never faded. Everyone from Lenny Kravitz to D'Angelo has cited Hazel as a giant whose emotional range forever changed the game. Number 3, Curtis Mayfield, the prophet with a guitar. And don't you cry. Curtis Mayfield wasn't just a songwriter and singer. He was a guitarist with a voice in his fingers. His soft, syncopated strumming and high register chord voicings gave his songs a floating, spiritual quality. With the impressions and later as a solo artist, Curtis made his guitar a vessel for social messages and soulful healing. In the 1960s and 70s, while protest anthems often roared, Curtis's guitar whispered truth. Tracks like People Get Ready and Move On Up didn't just inspire, they soothed. His playing carried gospel roots and was laced with subtle funk and blues inflections that added depth and dimension. Using open tunings, he created harmonies that shimmered with emotion. His guitar never needed to shout. It comforted, uplifted, and encouraged. Though he became paralyzed in 1990, his music continued. His tone and message still ripple through modern R&B, proving that soul does not fade, it transforms. Number 2, Cornell Dupree, the soul session master.
Very special treat. We've got a very accomplished guitarist with us, Cornell Dupree.
With over 2,500 recording credits, Cornell Dupree might be the most recorded guitarist you have never heard of. His groove was unmistakable, tight, syncopated, and effortlessly cool. From Aretha Franklin to Donny Hathaway, King Curtis, to Brooke Benton, Dupree was always just outside the spotlight, crafting the rhythms that made the hits stick. He brought a jazz player's precision to R&B soul. His muting technique and subtle bends turned simple progressions into emotional statements. On Hathaway's This Christmas, it's his warm guitar that wraps around the vocal like a ribbon on a gift. Dupree was also a founding member of the Band Stuff, whose instrumental albums influenced an entire generation of groove-based musicians. His phrasing was never showy, but it was rich with feeling. Like a conversation between old friends, his guitar made every track feel lived in and true. To hear Dupree play was to hear trust, taste, and timing. Number 1, Leo Nocentelli, the groove scientist of the meters. At the top of our list is the man whose guitar riffs gave New Orleans funk its unmistakable swagger. Leo Nocentelli of the meters did not just play rhythm, he invented a rhythm. His syncopated, choppy lines were tighter than a second-line parade and twice as infectious. Nocentelli's playing on tracks like Sissy Strut and Look Pai Pai created blueprints for funk, soul, and later, hip-hop. Every riff he laid down was minimalist yet masterful. Just enough space to make your head nod and your body move. He came from jazz and doo-wop roots, which gave his style both complexity and simplicity. He could lay back in the pocket or step out with a greasy solo, but he always served the groove. That was his religion. Later, his work would be sampled by artists like A Tribe Called Quest and DJ Premier, keeping his fingerprints all over modern beats. And yet, outside of musician circles, Leo's name still does not get the flowers it deserves. He was never flashy, just flawless. From smoky studios in Detroit to soul funk stages in New Orleans, these 15 guitarists helped shape the very soul of R&B, quietly, powerfully, and with lasting groove. Their strings told stories the world still dances to. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive through the forgotten fretboard legends of R&B. Subscribe to keep the groove alive and never miss our next stroll through music history. And don't miss what's next. Click the end screen to check out 15 old R&B singers who really should retire right now. You will be glad you did.